Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Ukraine is investigating more than 58,000 potential Russian war crimes, killings, kidnappings, indiscriminate bombings, and sexual assaults. Reportings by the Associated Press and Frontline has verified more than 600 incidents that appear to violate the laws of war. Some of those attacks were massacres that killed dozens or hundreds of civilians, and as a totality could account for thousands of individual war crimes. Karim Khan, chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court in The Hague, said Ukraine is a crime scene. Meanwhile, Russian missiles have killed at least one person in the Chernihiv region and caused blackouts in Mykolaiv. Ukraine's Air Force said this morning Russia launched 16 so-called kamikaze drones overnight. Ukrainian air defenses destroyed all of them. Meanwhile, Russia says Ukrainian strikes hit parts of Belgorod. Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Chinese leader Xi Jinping have vowed to deepen their bilateral cooperation. Putin said Kremlin's goal is to strengthen the cooperation between the armed forces of Russia and China. The two met remotely today. China's leader is expected to visit Russia this spring. Democrats in Congress have released 6 years' worth of former President Donald Trump's tax returns. It's the culmination of a years-long effort to learn about the finances of a wealthy business mogul who flouted decades of political norms when he refused to voluntarily release the information as he sought the White House. The returns are from 2015 to 2020. The release just before Trump's fellow Republicans retake control of the House from Democrats raises the potential of new revelations about his finances. The returns could also take on added significance now that Trump has launched a campaign bid for the White House in 2024. New York Attorney General Letitia James has filed a lawsuit alleging Trump and his company, the Trump Organization, inflated asset values on statements as part of a years-long fraud. Trump and his company have denied wrongdoing. Separately, his company, the Trump Organization, was convicted earlier this month on tax fraud charges for helping some executives dodge taxes on company paid perks like apartments and luxury cars. His longtime accountant, Donald Bender, testified at that trial that Trump reported losses on his tax returns nearly every year for a decade, including nearly $700 million losses in 2009, $200 million in 2010. Previous reporting showed Trump paid little to no taxes in many of the last 15 years. The death toll in New York has risen to 40 due to a blizzard, most of them in Buffalo. Erie County Executive Mark Polenkars says some victims have yet to be identified.
Unfortunately, there are families in this community who still have not been able to identify where a loved one is. They're missing, and we do have still John Does. And eventually those family members are going to find out the worst news possible.
The National Guard had just about completed its wellness checks, going door to door to check on people who lost power. Authorities face the possibility of finding more victims as snow melted amid increasingly mild weather. Southwest Airlines is returning to a normal flight schedule as the focus shifts to making things right with what could be well more than 1 million passengers who missed family connections or flights during the holidays, many of whom are still missing luggage. The Dallas carrier, which had canceled thousands of flights every day this week after a winter storm last weekend, reported less than 40 cancellations as of this morning. Federal regulators have vowed a rigorous review of what happened at Southwest. The airline had scrapped more than 13,000 flights since December 22nd. Southwest said it would refund tickets on canceled flights, and executives repeated a promise to reimburse travelers who were forced to pay for hotel rooms, meals, and flights on other airlines. Republican leadership has largely been quiet over Congressman-elect George Santos, a Republican, and the scandal of lies plaguing him after revelations he lied about his heritage, education, and professional pedigree as he campaigned for office. Some Republicans are joining Democrats in the rebuke. Santos will be sworn in Tuesday, though he isn't in office yet. He's already under local and federal investigations. Alex Gonzalez has more.
We call upon Congress to demand that Congress conduct a House ethics investigation into George Santos.
On Thursday, New York Democrat Robert Zimmerman, who ran against George Santos in the 2022 midterm election, was at a rally outside the Nassau County Courthouse demanding an investigation to look at Santos's past. Santos is now being federally investigated after having, quote, embellished his resume. The investigation is said to be looking at possible irregularities relating to campaign finances. Some GOP members are also calling for Santos to be probed. New York's 1st District Representative-elect Nick LaLota says in a tweet, quote, I believe a full investigation by the House Ethics Committee and, if necessary, law enforcement is required. I'm Alex Gonzalez for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.